All right, all right, all right. Still New Year, and I still want to say thank you so much. Today's topic is going to be about first-time home buyers. How to get ready, what you need, the process before you even get pre-approval, and then they start to search for a home and closing and moving. So the first step is know what your credit score is. What is your credit score? What do you have on your credit? Because sometimes some buyers do not know they have something on their credit, probably not any fault of theirs, until their credit is being pulled by a lender. So check yourself out, call credit bureaus, check all that out before you even speak to a lender or myself. It helps because your score will help save you money. If your credit score is less than 600 or is 620, that means that your interest rate is going to be higher. But if it is almost 700, 720, that gives you a better credit score to be able to secure a home, which means that your monthly payment will be lower, which means that you probably can buy a home without a PMI. What is a PMI? That's a mortgage insurance that is just money that you throw away because you're not getting it back. So lenders will get this monthly, sometimes for the life of your loan, depending on what type of loan that you got. If it's FHS, probably for the life of the loan. If it is a conventional, after you've paid off 20% of the loan, in most cases it's going to be, if you're trying to refinance, then you know whether you've already paid down 20%. That will fall off. The PMI will fall off. But it's very, very important to pay attention to your credit score. If you have at least 680, now most people will buy a reasonable home with 620, 640. But in order to avoid the high interest rate, I think your best score should be in the 7s, 680, 640, 660 is okay. And then talk to a lender. You can talk to me and I can guide you and then partner you with a lender, because not all lenders are the same. I work with some good lenders that will pay attention, listens to you and understand where you're coming from. In most cases, some of them might even help fix your credit if you have anything on your credit that needs to be addressed, any issue that needs to be addressed. So call me and then just let me know how I can help you. But first, check on your credit with the credit bureau and see what your score is and see what you need to take to fight off your credit if it's not your fault. If it's your fault, maybe you arrange for a payment plan to see how you can work that out. You can secure a store card and buy and pay as it goes, not at once, maybe a gradual payment. That will help. But the best person to advise you on this is always a lender. I know a few things about lending, but it's always advisable to speak with the lender to know what is good for you. But when it comes to real estate, I'm the one you can talk to. So the process, knowing your credit score, is number one. So the second is talking to the lender and getting approval letter, not pre-approval letter. Then there's what we call pre-qualification. That's not always the best way to go. Pre-qualification means, you've told the lender that this is how much you've earned and this is what your score is. So they've not really gotten any documentation from you. So they are not sure if you're actually earning that amount of money. Pre-approval is always the best and most acceptable when you make an offer. So it means that the lender has gotten some kind of pay stub from you. Your credit has been pulled. And so therefore, they think you're credit worthy and this is how much you're qualified for. So now we now take this pre-approval, we start house hunting, and then when you find a home that you're in love with, so we use that pre-approval. After writing the offer, we attach it with the offer, and then we send it to the seller's agent so that the seller's agent can present it to the seller. That will give you a better chance to win the offer. But with pre-qualification, most sellers are not even looking into that because they know for sure you might not be qualified. And I say that some buyers and some lenders make that mistake and send a pre-qualification. In most cases, you have a chance of losing your earnest money. What is earnest money? Earnest money is a good faith money that you pay down and you're telling the seller to pull the house off the market while you're processing your loan before closing date. So you have what we call due diligence. Once your due diligence ends and your financial contingencies ends, and then you're not sure if you're even qualified for the loan, you can lose your earnest money. Due diligence can range between 7 to 10 days. That's the seller is giving you this time period to do all your due diligence and find out if there's anything wrong with the house. That's when you conduct your inspection and check and see if there's anything that the homeowner needs to address before you close. And then financial contingency means that the lender is processing your loan. You are now sending your documents to the lender, and the lender is okay, we are in this stage, we are moving to this stage, this is what we need, and this is what we do not have at the moment that you need to send to them. So between that time from which is usually 15 and 21 days, you have to know that you're qualified, whether or not you're qualified for this loan. Otherwise, you can lose your earnest money. And then we also have what we call the appraisal time. It's almost the same day between the 15 and 21 days as the financial contingency. Appraisal time means the lender is going to send someone to appraise the house. So therefore, to figure out if the house is worth what the seller is trying to sell it for. So in most cases, depending on what the market is like, if it's the seller's market or if it's the buyer's market. If it is the seller's market, the seller can say, oh, well, depending on how the contract was written, I'm not bringing the price down. Let's say, for example, the house was listed for $350 and you offer $350 or you offer $355, and then it became underwater at $320 or $325. The seller can say, oh, well, I'm not bringing it down. If it was not stipulated on the contract that if it's not appraised for the value, the seller has to bring it down. So the seller has the right to say, I'm not bringing it down. But if it's the buyer's market, the buyer says, well, it's on the contract. If it's not appraised for the value, you need to bring it down. Otherwise, I terminate. But even when it's the seller's market, you still have that 21 days before you can still walk away and not buy if it's not appraised for the value. So once it's appraised, it's underwater, you're like, seller, bring it down or I walk. So the seller will now rethink it all and say, okay, I'll bring it down. They always have to, because lenders are not going to pay for the house if it's not worth that amount, unless you have the money to come out of your pocket to cover for the differences. So that's just the process. There's so many other means of buying a home. You can do 100%, which is the USDA. And there are other programs that you do 100% without the PMI. Some banks offer that. Not all banks will offer that. USDA, some homes and some area are qualified. Not all homes are qualified for USDA. VA loan probably had to be serving in the military or have served in the military or Navy or whichever branch of the government. They also have programs for teachers. They have for first responders. So just let your agent or your lender know what your profession is so that they can seek and see if there's any program for you. We have a zero down payment loan, which is you don't pay down payment, but at least you pay some kind of closing costs. You need money for an inspection. You need money for appraisal. So at least you need some money in your account. And some lenders will say you will ask you to at least have your first mortgage ready in your bank account for closing. Another thing is that favors you after you closes. If you close like the first week of January, your mortgage will not start until March, sometimes between the 1st and 15th of March. But your lender and the attorney will let you know when your mortgage will start after or at the closing table. So those are just few steps you need before you buy and get processed and closing. Some people might think it's a lot of work, but I think nothing comes easily, especially if you're investing for yourself. This is just like investing to build family wealth. Real estate is one of the best places to invest. So think about it and then call me. I'm always here to answer all your questions. And if I don't know the answer, I always know where to get it. So 404-375-7313. Thank you. Thank you, my people. I love you guys. Mwah.